For Lab 7-1 in our Transitioning to SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 course, we're going to be performing an upgrade of a SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 12 SP3 box to SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 15. To begin with, though, we're just going to boot that machine that we're going to be upgrading so that we can just show you that, sure enough, it is a SUSE Linux Enterprise 12 SP3 box in preparation for our upgrade. We'll just log in, and we're going to open up a terminal and take a look at which versions of the files or version of the operating system we're going to be using. So we're just going to switch to root, and we're going to take a look at the etc SUSE release file. Now, a couple of things. This file, etc SUSE release, is deprecated, just like it says here in this file, and it is removed in SUSE Linux Enterprise 15. We're simply pointing out, we can see that it's version 12 SP3. Okay, we can see that right here. Now, what is it being replaced with? Well, that's also in this file. If we cat the etc OS release file, you can also see pretty much the same information in a different format. Now, this is a transition we've made. A lot of other operating systems are using the OS release. We are also following so that everyone who's looking for what version of the operating system am I using on a Linux platform, so that there's more consistency from platform or from OS to OS. Okay, so we can see what version is here. We can see that we've got a SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 12 SP3. If we do a uname -a, we can see that exactly what's going on with it. We've got some information there. All right, so now we're going to reboot it and start the installation or upgrade process. So I'm just going to type reboot. Now that it's rebooted, I'm just going to select from the option, instead of booting from the hard disk, it's booted from the installation media, a SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 image, and we're going to select upgrade as the option and allow it to boot. Our boot has completed, and we're ready to start the upgrade process. We select our language, select our keyboard, and of course we select next. Now, we don't have networking configured on this machine, so we're going to add in the IP addresses information that we want. We're going to do 16.2.23, and the host name will be SLES200 SP3. Now, I've left the subnet mask where it is, and that's perfectly fine. Now, we're leaving the host name the way it is, which is fine. We might want to choose a different one in the future, but we can just leave it the way it is. We are going to change the routing. We're going to enter a default gateway, and it's 172.16.2.1. And we just hit next. And we've now got our networking configured. Now, this next thing, it's going to ask us, well, which hard disk or instance of operating system do you want to upgrade? In our case, there's only one. This is the one we're going to change. It's ButterFS. It's obviously SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 12 SP3. We're going to go ahead and click Next. It's going to ask us to agree to the license terms. We all understand. Hopefully we all have an understanding of what is being asked of us, so we'll select Next. It's also going to tell us that we've removed a SLES200 SP3 repository, which makes sense since the repository no longer applies to the OS version when this upgrade is finished. Now, we can actually toggle these. There's enabled, disabled, and removed. Enabled and disabled, the entry is still there, but with removed, we remove the entry from even showing up in the list, which is the default behavior when doing an upgrade as we are. Now, it's also going to say your system isn't registered, so I can't go out to SCC or to an RMT server and pull down updates. But that's okay. That's what we intended for this demonstration. It's then going to say, well, I need you to add in whatever additional software repositories. And we have one sitting on an ISO, which is connected to a virtual CD-ROM. And we're going to add base system module, desktop application module, and server application module as well. Then we click Next, and it will say, show us which extensions and modules we've selected. In this case, the 3 items that we just put check marks in. We're going to go ahead and click Next, and it will then prompt us with an overview of what we're proposing to do. Now we can click on these things. These are links, and we can go and make changes. We're not going to make any changes. We're just going to start the upgrade process or the update process, let it complete, and then we'll come back and validate that the SUSE release file has been removed and that the OS release now has the proper reported operating system version for us. There we are, start the update, and let's wait for it to complete that process. All right, our machine has finished with the upgrade. Let's take a closer look at what happened. Did it do what we expected it to do? You'll notice the interface has changed a bit. We're just going to find our terminal, and we're going to do a switch to root, and let's cat those 2 files that we looked at. Well, sure enough, there is no SUSE release file anymore. But if we do a cat of etc OS release, sure enough, it's been upgraded, and you can see SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 15, version 15. We can see that it has done exactly what we expected it to. Now there's another command we could use. We could do an lsb release with the -a on it, and sure enough, it shows us what it is. So we have successfully updated or upgraded a SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 12 SP3 machine to SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 15.